Hey Molly, just had to play a theme song to kick this off on the right foot. So, first video, really looking forward to feedback from you and growing in this process. So, fortunate for this opportunity, and being that I'm taking about a minute to thank you and appreciate you, I'll probably make this 6 minutes. But I will work on being concise and clear, and ask you now that you emphasize and focus on that. I can be wordy, and I would like to be more simple in my presentations. So feedback on that is greatly appreciated. Today I want to talk about the identity model and specifically define what is identity. I want to talk about ways in which you can shape your identity, and there are 3 in particular, which are significant emotional events, conditioning, and your environment. So to start this off, really, I want to go in and define what is identity. It's important to create definitions where we're in agreement and coming from an understanding, a mutual understanding of what we're talking about at the root here. Identity is our habits, it's our beliefs, and it's our values. It's who we are being, it's why we are being the way we're being, and it's what we stand for. So it's really those anchors in our life, it's those associations in our life. And this is important to talk about because it's largely unconscious in most people. So as we deliver these programs, to keep that in mind and really pay attention to who is this person being, who is this person identifying with, and starting in terms of identifying behavior patterns. So again, identity is habits, beliefs, and values. So our 3 ways that we get to shape our identity is significant emotional events, conditioning, and environment. Significant emotional events, I love the word significant there because really it's pivotal. Emotional, it tends to be an emotional event. So it's a pivotal emotional event. It's where we experience a shift. And it's when something happens and we have an experience, but we see the world differently, where we're forever changed. Some examples might be getting married, getting divorced, getting fired from a job. It's another positive one. Traveling around the world. So these can be proactively created. So an example would be, I love Tanya's example, how she decided intentionally to go jump out of an airplane to prove to herself and form the identity of someone who lets go, someone who surrenders, someone who's ready for newness in her life. So that's an example of a proactive, significant emotional event, and sort of a reactive, I'm not sure if that's the best word choice, but reactive or unconscious significant emotional event might be getting fired from a job. And it's all about, in significant emotional events, what I want to really emphasize is it is the meaning that you give to that event. That is how identity is related to it. What is the meaning? What are the habits that form from that emotional event? What are the values that you take away with you? What are the beliefs that start to form there? So identity and how that emotional event shapes you. Okay? Secondly, conditioning. We really talk about this in Growth U, and I'm a fitness instructor, so I love, love, love this. Okay? We talk about, and I find there's a consciousness in the world to an awareness to conditioning our body. You know, we go to the gym, we lift weights, we eat healthy, we do a little bit each day to start to form, the habits of a healthy, fit individual. And that's great in the body way, and I want to use that sort of as a metaphor because what we're talking about here is conditioning our mind. Conditioning. And when it comes to the mind, the 2 things I want to emphasize is commitment and consistency. So we get, when we're creating our life, we're creating our identity for who we want to be moving forward and who we want to become. We get to choose, what are we committed to? What are we going to take consistent action on? Again, relating it back to habits, beliefs, and values. What are your daily habits? Conditioning, daily. What are your beliefs? Daily, checking in. Are you keeping consistent beliefs? Are you always seeing things kind of from the positive way, or are you shifting back and forth? I'm great. No, I'm not great. I'm great. I'm not great. that sends really mixed messages to the universe. So am I consistently believing that I'm great every day? And am I valuing the commitment and the consistency of a successful person? Okay. And lastly, and really just knowing that's where we really butt up, you start to experience in conditioning the ego and in the fact that it wants you to stay safe. So we really have to work towards that, okay? That's why there's a lot in Growth U, we talk about 45-day conditioning program. How can you get beyond that deception phase where you want to quit? And then lastly, what is your environment? I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So really, who do you spend your time with? An environment, personally, I think we typically think of physical environment. And I want to kind of broaden that definition to talk about 3 ways. It's your climate. So it's your emotional climate that you're surrounded by. It's your culture, so who's in it. Who is that culture? Who's that family? Who are those friends? And then really connection. Who are you connecting with? Who's influencing you? Who are you having influence on? Who are you surrounded by? So again, this is typically unconscious, which is why we're talking about it, because it shapes who we are, right? I'll make an example. It's funny, at the gym where I teach, we all are starting to say and do little isms of each other. When I cue things, I say, ask yourself, is your butt getting low? Or ask yourself, is your core engaged? Ask yourself, is your chest lifted? And I giggle because my colleague, I was leaving class and I heard him saying, ask yourself, is your butt getting low? Ask yourself, is your core getting engaged? So we start to play off of each other. And I love that because that's an example of a positive habit that we're building of each other, because I respect the man and his way of teaching. So paying attention, again, what meaning do we give this? We want to bring consciousness into the picture here. What habits are we forming by our environment and who are around? What beliefs do we have due to the people and location around us, the climate, the emotional reactions and emotions stirring around us? So, and then the values, again, what values am I creating? And then being aware of them. So it's important, again, as a recap, what is your identity? What is identity, and then yes, what is your identity in relation to significant emotional events, your daily conditioning, and your environment? So it's looking at these things so that we get to start consciously creating who we are being and who we want to become. This is how you get to live a life that you want to live, as opposed to focusing on what you don't want. My favorite thing, and maybe we'll get to this later on, is what you focus on grows. So focus on your identity, what habits you want, what beliefs you want, what values you want, and then how are those playing out in emotional events? Like, can you proactively create those in emotional events like Tanya, skydiving? Can you proactively go out and start a healthy eating program and strength and conditioning to get your body feeling good, your mind feeling clear? Can you go find inspirational people that have you learning and growing and getting out of your comfort zone? So I challenge you to proactively step into those things, and I'd love to hear more about how you're experiencing these in your world. And again, thank you so much, Molly, for your feedback. I'm so excited for this journey together. Clarity and conciseness. Give me some feedback on that. Love you. Infinite Growth Squad, signing out.